Well, hey everyone. So hopefully we got some audience somewhere. I've got Kathleen here in the studio with me. Kathleen, where are you coming in from?
New Hampshire.
Oh, awesome. That is actually where I was born. I did not stay long. Um, but yeah, still on my birth certificate. I haven't been back either. So I haven't stayed away or anything. It's just, I hear nice things about it. Just I don't get up to New England much, but how's the
Mm.
weather there?
Actually, it was nice today. It got into the mid 50s, so it was a nice walk.
Okay.
Yep.
I suppose by New England in November standards, 50s is probably quite nice.
Yes.
I'm just checking. Yep, we're live on YouTube. Neato. Seeing if we're up on LinkedIn. I kind of bungled the LinkedIn link a little bit. Oh, yeah, we are. Look at that. Beautiful. 13 people watching. Love it. Okay. I'm not going to click start. I will just monitor the chat because, man, we got people popping up in StreamYard in chat. Yo, 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 Abe Diaz. What is going on? All right. So yeah, we're here to talk about the 30-day challenge. So we're back in another 30-day challenge. There's Matt Bratton. Yeah, like the LinkedIn's actually showing up in StreamYard now. Usually it doesn't. Usually it just shows up like LinkedIn person and they have the little silhouette. But I don't know, maybe because I'm paying for StreamYard now. That's why it actually shows up properly. There we go. What's up, Samantha? Okay. Abe is watching on LinkedIn and YouTube. That is a dedicated fan. All right. So yeah, we do have one more. There's Jessica. All right. Hope you're ready, Jessica, because I brought you in anyway. So
Hi, Jessica.
Hello.
Jessica, where are you coming from?
I am in Connecticut, just south of New Hampshire.
Oh, okay.
We got New England covered.
Yeah, all kinds of cold weather people. So I'm actually debating taking off my sweatshirt here. It's kind of warm. It actually was 70 here today. It's been cold recently. But yeah, I was teaching classes today to people in like Colorado and all over the place. So I've been asking everybody how's the weather because it seems like it's kind of funky everywhere. All right. So I've started talking about business here several times and I keep getting distracted. It's kind of my way. But yeah, so here to talk about the 30-day Tableau challenge. And this thing kind of started on a whim, like any good idea I ever have. It's sort of just a fly-by-night thing. So I started it with Alteryx, which is something I know very well. I've now moved on to Tableau, which is not something I know very well. But yeah, it seems to have attracted quite a few people. We've got a group chat going with 50 people, including these two wonderful ladies here. And yeah, would you each like to talk about how your experience has been so far? I mean, we're on day 3 here, but we did get kind of a lead in with that free week from Maven Analytics. Do appreciate that. What do you guys think so far?
Sure, I'm enjoying it so far. I think I joined a little bit late in the game. I think I just joined yesterday, so I was a day behind, but I'm really looking forward to it. Something that would just keep me motivated. I have been taking courses with Maven, and their courses
before
are really
this one.
Great. Yes.
Okay.
And their courses are great. I'm really happy, and I still stay connected with that group of people and the instructors there. But when I saw this opportunity, I really wanted to keep learning. And it looked like this was a fun group of people to keep learning with.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to do the Maven course as well. And as I was mentioning to Albert earlier, I've been on a couple of different platforms to learn Tableau, and it seems that I learned something new or something that I had forgotten about. And it's nice to see how each different platform does it, how the types of information they provide for you. I thought the Maven one was a good combination of overarching, but enough detail to get some of those little nuanced things that you like to do.
Yeah. Okay. So did you finish it?
Yep.
Okay. Printed the certificate, the whole 9 yards, listed it on your LinkedIn, made a post about it.
Okay, then I'm not done.
See, if you didn't post about it on LinkedIn, did it even really happen? No, that's fine. Not I understand that not everyone is quite as nuts for LinkedIn as I am. So yeah, I even have recently, and I know this is going to come off as blasphemous to most anyone that knows me, but I even have had some recent accomplishments that I did not post about on LinkedIn. So that would have been unheard of not too long ago. But okay, so cool. So class is going well. What did you do today? Or have you not put in the time yet? It's all right. I'm not trying to call you out if you haven't got to it yet.
Just to be, honest, I didn't have a lot of time today, but yesterday, last night, I did go through quite a bit of the assignments, and that I will finish this weekend. But yeah, today I actually didn't have a lot of time to do it. But I already, like, we're talking about, you always learn something new that you didn't learn before. So that's really my goal. Is to just keep learning something that, or get reinforced on things that I maybe had forgotten about, or that I wanted to learn more about.
Okay. Kathleen, anything today?
I worked on the Coursera course. I got through module 2.
Nice.
And I was able to build a couple of the vizzes on the CO2 and the happiness quotient.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the CO2 data set, did that take a while to upload for you? That one for me was kind of sticking, felt like.
No, I didn't have any issues with it.
Maybe it was just my machine.
Yeah, I think I got stuck. I don't know if you saw in the chat, I kind of got stuck on, how sometimes you start to think about something and then you overthink it. And for me today, that was the color divergent. It really bothered me that I didn't know it's the fact that it was green and red, and that means that there's got to be a good and a bad. And I think I got that stuck in my head, and all CO2 is bad. So
I mean, it's necessary for some things, but yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I do think I caught the tail end of that conversation. I definitely think you were getting a bit too far into the weeds with it. I was kind of running between classes at the time, so I didn't get to respond, but it felt like the rest of the community definitely kind of talked you on target there. So,
absolutely.
And that's what I love to see. So yeah, if anybody's watching and interested in the challenge, we do have, it's like most things I put together on LinkedIn, it is semi-organized at best. But the first, I think it's almost 50 people now that came in and said they wanted to be in a group chat about it. I brought them into a group chat on LinkedIn. There's still a couple of slots left. So if you're interested in the challenge and you're not on that group chat, just send me a DM or something, and I can probably squeeze a couple more people in there. I may consider doing a second one. I'm not looking to do a lot of kind of maintenance of the community on this thing, but yeah, that group chat is really doing pretty well. So, okay. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, I love how people are sharing their Tableau public pages, so we can all look at each other's work. And I think that's really great to share that.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, that's such a point of stress with all of this is we need to get past the fear of being imperfect and of appearing flawed in public. I'm getting past my fear of putting out, obviously I put out kind of half-baked YouTube products. So I have mostly conquered that fear of looking imperfect on YouTube. I don't edit my videos. But yeah, you can put your work out there if it's halfway, and you can seek reinforcement and guidance, which are, reinforcement is another one of those principles from ultra learning, without having it be perfect first. That reinforcement doesn't need to be, oh yes, your viz is perfect. And we need to get ourselves to a place where you can put something out there that you know is imperfect, and that it doesn't hurt your feelings to hear, hey, maybe you should work on this, this, and this. If you kind of steel yourself and know that that's coming, because you know in your heart of hearts that it's not a perfect product. If you know that criticism is coming, it's much easier to take. But yeah, you get into that paralysis where you wait for the perfect product or to be amazing at something before you ever go public with it, and that really stunts your growth, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
So what were you working on before this? Did you have a kind of a learning journey and I diverted you from it? Or is this kind of a starting thing for you?
This is kind of like on the tail end. I've been learning for about a year now during my transition to a data analyst. So I've been, I'm applying and I'm just constantly trying to reinforce my skills, learn new things.
Okay. What about you, Jessica?
I was actually taking the Maven bootcamp at the beginning of the year. I dedicated 6 months to their bootcamp, and that has since ended. And I'm just looking for opportunities to keep learning and keep just honing in on my skills and working on different projects here and there. I have some ideas for projects that I haven't quite published and shown everybody. So talking about imperfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just have to get better about sharing my work.
Part of the reason why I joined this was because this past year I've done everything alone. I haven't joined any kind of groups or any kind of boot camps. I've done everything on my own, and it's been extremely lonely. So I wanted to
definitely better with friends, right?
Yes, definitely. Like just today, just being able to bounce that idea about the divergent color palette. I mean, it's such a minor thing, but it was bothering me so much. So that's why I'll put it up there and see what people thought.
And this is on you're talking about the CO2 emissions one?
Yeah.
Mind if I put it up?
No, go ahead.
There we go. All right, talk us through it.
So in the Coursera, this was one of the things that they kind of walked you through was how to create this map. And one of the things that I liked about using the bubble sizes or using the color and the bubble is that it's instead of just coloring the entire country, was that it was more obvious. If you only color the country, the map was almost totally green and
it's color saturated.
Yeah. So I liked the size bubble. And then the thing that struck me when I was looking at the data was how different the top countries are when you look at just total emissions versus emissions per capita. Mm-hmm. Because, total emissions, it's US, China, and Japan. But if you look at the per capita emissions, they're the countries in the oil producing nations. Because there's a lot more CO, but they have much lower population. Qatar is number one for per capita, but their population is so low. It's just, to me, that contrast was very interesting, which is why I did the two on the same dashboard. And the reason I went back and forth with doing just a one color gradient, but then again, it was just all the same color and you lost the view that, Qatar had the highest per capita. So,
So that giant red one there, oh yeah, look at that. Huh.
Yeah. But if you look at the other one, you can barely even tell that it's on the map.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Go ahead.
Did you have any other challenges besides the one you were talking about with the divergent color? Were there any challenges that you were able to figure out or overcome?
No, I think besides that was the deciding to keep the bubble size. I know when you're looking at maps, it's more common to have the country be the whole color, but I just didn't think it got the message across. So I that was the only other thing I had to debate a little bit, whether or not to use the bubble size.
Yeah, I think this was a good choice. I'm visualizing what you mean by the country, but I think I agree with you that using the bubbles was definitely a better choice for what you're trying to get across, and per capita also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be what you're talking about definitely more effective if you zoom in. So, I mean, you could focus in on a geo region like Europe or looks like maybe Central America might be somewhat interesting. Middle East definitely is an interesting contrast. But yeah, zoomed out this far, I can just imagine if you saturated, and it's so kind of homogeneous with the colors too. It seems like, you know, all of the ones in Africa are going to be green, so Africa is just kind of a sea of green, and
Right.
you can't really tell any contrast. Um, you know, Europe's kind of green across the board, but then the per capita, you've actually got some Luxembourg, huh? Neat.
Yeah, that was an odd one. We actually asked Google at dinner tonight, you know,
Yeah.
why is Luxembourg have such a high CO2? And I guess they do some petroleum processing.
Huh.
And also,
News to me.
if you look also, I think it's China,
Mm-hmm.
how in the per capita, because the population is so high, the per capita value is fairly low.
Yeah. Neat. Okay. Any others that you've done that?
Oh, just the happiness one. That was just a fun, quick, easy one. There wasn't really much to this. The only question I had, and this is me again, maybe overthinking it, is the trend line.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it might be good to be able to include the trend line for each year at the same time, so you can actually physically see the change in the slope of the line.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't quite figure out how to do that.
So it's hard for me to read. What is on the y-axis? Happiness?
Yeah, happiness score, and then along the x-axis are either economy, family,
Yeah, dependent
health,
variables
Okay.
or independent, I suppose.
generosity. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I got bogged down on this one, was working on this map last night and then never got back to it today. So much like you, I still have to put in some time here. This does not count. Not going to count the live stream.
So it looks like
Yeah,
those are all
good stuff.
correlated. There's some correlation, except the generosity doesn't look very good to me.
Yeah, and I actually added the lecture today didn't say to do this, but I wanted to be able to filter by year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually fairly consistent for the 3 years. It doesn't really change much, the generosity.
Yeah, you would imagine something like this is fairly static.
Yeah. I think it might be more, I would expect to see more of a change if you had a much bigger history. Like if you went back to 1950 or 1930, you know, something way back when a lot of countries had a lot of change, you know, with wars and such.
Yeah. I would say once we kind of get, I mean, I don't know if we'll ever get here, but to the, you know, the level where we can do the sort of video moving, it'd be really interesting to see if you could do, you know, the year and kind of phase it one into the next. That would be kind of a fascinating comparison.
I love those.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can sit and watch those for hours. But we're nerds, so what we do.
I was just thinking too, I don't know without, I'm just saying this out loud, if you could color the years different colors, but I think that might make it a little bit too messy.
I did try to do that.
It would be too muddy with the data points on there. I
Yeah.
think that
A lot.
you could probably do something by condensing. I think there's a way to condense the points so you only see like one for every 3 or 4, once you condense those down, if you could color code, like 2015 is red, 2016 is blue, and if you cut them down a little bit, maybe jitter them so they're, you can actually see them distinctly. There are ways to do it. I know I can see it in my head. I don't know Clickology how to accomplish it, but I think we'll get there.
I did try to add color to the year, but it wouldn't let me pick different colors for different years. All it did was a gradient. And I think that's a Tableau public thing, because I have the desktop, the public desktop version, and I'm pretty sure, I didn't go in to try, but I'm pretty sure I could change the color of the year, as in physically go red, green, yellow.
Yeah.
But all I was able to get was a gradient. So I got a light blue, a medium blue, and a dark blue. So that was it was not beneficial at all.
Now, Kathleen, you said you were pivoting into data analytics. Are you working now? I don't remember if we ever talked.
I am not working. No, I'm looking for work.
Have you done analytics as a profession in the past, or has it been kind of a side job for you?
No, I have an engineering and education background.
Gotcha. Okay. So, so Abe was asking, has anyone used maps on the job? I did some very brief map dashboards at my last job. I've not done. I do teach Alteryx spatial tools, but have not done map visualizations in my current job. Jessica, have you ever used them?
No, I haven't. I haven't had the need to use maps, but I've used Tableau in my previous positions.
Okay. Yeah, I usually, we don't get a lot of call for the spatial tools. It's a very niche thing. So what do you use at work? I mean, obviously Tableau, but
yeah. So
what
right
aspects?
now I'm also open to new opportunities. But in my previous role, I was working for a diagnostic testing company, and I was in the R&D department. I would do my backgrounds in biology, genetics, molecular biology. So we would look at a lot of the data for exome and genome sequencing data. So that's what a lot of that data I'd analyze.
I'm just looking for your Tableau public.
So none of that data is on there. It's proprietary, and I couldn't.
Oh yeah, I figured.
Share,
I was just looking to see if we could pull yours up.
The work data. So.
What's your name on there?
Good question.
You don't remember? I was trying to see if I had your link.
It's in the chat. I did maybe yesterday. I might have posted it.
I'm sure I got it, but I didn't see it in following. Maybe I missed it. Could show my own, I suppose. Someone asked earlier, there was an actual question in there. Where was it? So asked, how are the job prospects? I assume that means how will Tableau help you get a job? Jessica, did that assist you, your experience with Tableau?
I have to say that Tableau helped. No, it didn't help me get a job. I learned it on the job, but it helped me be much more efficient with my work and be able to present data in ways that I hadn't been able to do before.
Did you find that it, like having to visualize it, having to present it in that form? Yep, found you. Did you find that helped you understand data better?
I think so, and it also helped my stakeholders understand the data better.
Okay. Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, that's kind of the whole point, isn't it? All right, gotcha.
It's hard to look at tables or tabular information and right away. Like people always talk about you have 5 seconds or some number of limited time to look at things, and so visuals help people understand the message.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you want to do? Retail investment?
So that one, I just, it's not really a dashboard or anything. That one is, it was a Makeover Monday. that I just wanted to play around with. And it was something that I had learned from, I think it was Andy Kriebel posted it. So I just wanted to duplicate and figure out and learn from him on how to recreate this.
Awesome. Yeah, that's pretty compelling. I like this one.
What do you call a chart that looks like this? Does this have a name?
Probably.
Yeah. Got me.
For
Anybody
sure.
in the audience know? Somebody in the audience help us out here.
Some kind of bubble, you know.
It's like a bubble / bar.
Yeah, kind of.
There was an example. I do have a link there that links out to his video, which is how I learned how to do this. He was basically copying the identical or nearly identical visual, but he wanted to improve and make it a little bit better than what he had seen before.
So basically it's, let's see, what retail investors are focusing on.
Right. So this is stock market, pretty much stock market, stock market retail investors, right? So what are they focusing on? And those are the percentages that we didn't have data. He didn't share the data. He just showed the static already, the percentages, and he just recreated what that image looked like.
Yeah, so it's easy to compare. I mean, it's the relevant information pops. Yeah, like it.
And are those, I can't quite read those are percentages, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right. And this one you did for Maven?
That was one of the projects in the Maven coursework. Looking at salary for Boston public workers, I believe. And I think if that's what the title says. Yes.
Yep.
It's been a while.
10-year retrospective.
Yes. So there were, over 200,000 employees at Boston public sector and, almost 300 departments. And it should be interactive as well. If you click on the bubbles and the years, you can scroll to by year, total salary by pay type. So public safety is the top pay type there. And so you can see different changes depending on exactly what you want to look at. So I find that interactive dashboards are really cool. People can explore data and if they have a question or, what's this? What is education? Education is the top public sector here. So you can you can drill down on public sector information and you can see in the middle section on the bottom the year-over-year change with salary. How
oh wow,
if you go up, but even that one you can with the red year-over-year, the minus 1.7%, minus 0.6, the year-over-year change, how that correlates with perhaps COVID.
Awesome.
So the bubble chart was kind of new to me when I started taking some courses, and I've grown to, I can't decide how I feel about it. I like the amount of information it can portray or display, but the fact that the labeling is very dependent on how big the bubbles are.
Yeah, I see that there's for some reason the labeling isn't appearing here on the very small bubbles.
And I think that's not by design, but I think that's just an inherent trait of it, I feel.
Right. I think there's a way to do it, and I think I tried. I may not have published that version if you make the font really small, right? But then you can't read it.
Right.
Yeah, and there's a way to deconflict it so that it kind of goes off to the side and you can see them all. They don't overlap.
Yep, that's right.
I mean, I like how it looks, and I like how it looks when it updates. I just wish there was better control on the labeling.
I think I also went between a bubble chart and a tree map. was another option too that I was
Yeah.
thinking about at the time. I didn't love the tree map for some reason. Like I chose
I'm
the
not a
bubble chart.
fan.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the tree map myself.
No, I find it's more of an eye chart. And honestly, the bubble charts are cool. They're cool in a sort of pie chart way.
Mhm.
It's eye-catching, it's engaging, it is entertaining to kind of click through these and see
Yeah.
them on some kind of one-to-one comparisons. It can be useful, but overall, you're kind of looking at it, and it's one of those ones where you're like, what is it? What am I supposed to see here? I think Matt Braddon actually told a story once of this amazing dashboard that he made at one point, and it just had bells and whistles all over the place, and he thought he had just knocked it out of the park. And he knew he had failed when he put it up, and his boss kind of looked around and said, "Where do you want me to look?" And he was like, "All right, that's back to the drawing board. I've done it wrong." So that story stuck with me. So Matt, you've made an
Mm.
impression, in case you were wondering. But yeah, this is pretty cool, and I definitely like the fact that you know love the functionality where you can just click on anything and it filters the entire rest of the dashboard.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's good stuff.
This is definitely a work in progress. I haven't actually gotten back to it, but there
You're
were
still
some
going back to this? Oh,
recommendations.
cool.
I haven't gone back to it recently,
Okay.
but there were recommendations that I haven't yet incorporated as far
Mhm.
as the way the chart on the right functions. It's a kind of not ideal, it might be my first, where do you want me to look, right? That might be the same
Yeah.
question, the answer people are trying like, what do you want me to do here? So there's definitely improvements that can be made for sure.
Yeah, and that kind of brings up a good point that I think in a visualization discussion is great to dig into. And I was talking about to someone about this recently, but generally the visualizations that are actually um, useful for work, they're a bit boring. Um, the ones that are actually effective are not the ones that are eye candy. It's generally just, hey, what information do you need? And I have a book, I want to say it's called The Big Idea. Anyway, I've got a couple different books on visualization. I still haven't read Kate Strachan's Colorwise, which she gave me, which I'm a terrible friend for not reading that yet. But yeah, so I think it's called The Big Idea. Steve Wexler, I want to say, is the author. Um, but it talks about that, and it kind of emphasizes, hey, you're not here to win art awards with dashboards. Now, dashboards for Tableau Public, where you're kind of cutting your teeth and figuring out how to make the slidey bubble chart and all of these other things, absolutely. If you're trying to win the viz of the day and all that sort of stuff, knock it out. You're learning. You're kind of figuring out what works and what doesn't work. But when it's game day and you've got to get a point across to a stakeholder and say, here's the data informed conclusion that I need you to draw. Focus your eyes on this point in the bubble in the bright red and the one metric that I need you to absorb. And when they see that and they go, oh my goodness, that is a way bigger number than all of the rest of these little, not so red bubbles, then you've won. And so if you've given them one thing to look at, one viz to rule them all, if you will, then that's actually going to get your point across and get something done. But absolutely, the stuff for Tableau, yeah, crazy colors, slicers, all that sort of stuff. The question I wanted to ask earlier, and I'm very curious to hear, because I think this kind of cuts across all lanes, and I would definitely love to hear the audience as well. Is there I would say is there definitely is. Where is the trade-off between interactivity and you're giving them a toy to play with? Like, have you ever worked for someone where you were like, oh boy, we better not give this stakeholder too many of these drop downs and filters and slicers, because if we do, they're just going to go down a rabbit hole and they're just going to want, more information rather than giving them the static picture and saying, here's the point right here. Look at this.
Mm. Definitely a fine line, I think. I don't disagree with you if you know your stakeholder very well. I think gearing it towards them is a good idea for the reasons exactly that you mentioned. Sometimes I fear that if you hold back too much and you held back information that they would have wanted, that's unfortunate. Yeah. So it's a fine tune.
Yeah.
Agreed. I was going to comment and say this sort of the similar thing where if you predict the questions they might ask, then you could maybe incorporate that instead of saying, oh, well, you might hear, well, how come you didn't add the year filter? Or how come you didn't add those filters? Well, maybe you could predict that they might want to look at it per year and add those filters. And then maybe exclude things that they might not want to look at.
Yeah. Also kind of part of that manage up concept where you have to be kind of an arbiter of your bosses or your manager, supervisor, whatever, of their bandwidth. And I've definitely been in positions where I had subordinates, team members that were just bombarding me with information and they thought they were being helpful. And there were times when I had to say, all right, we've got to stop because I've got 150 unread emails and I've got, and so they would, you had to standardize how they were going to present you with information. I think that's often a very useful conversation to have with, if you're working for someone, like, how do you like to be presented information? What are the KPIs that you want to hear about? What are the things that your boss cares about and therefore you care about? And so I should be presenting to you.
You just had me think about something, and I don't know if there's a way to do this, but I think back to my engineering days when I would sit in a design review and I would present what was needed to show the design. And there was information, like you say, that you would withhold, not so much withhold, but not specifically present.
You're sparing their mental energy. Let's put a positive spin on it.
Yeah, you always had it available, particularly if it was a design review that had cross-functional stakeholders. You kind of had to come prepared to be able to answer a lot of different questions, but you didn't necessarily present it all because it wasn't relevant to everyone. But if they asked the question, you always had it available. And I guess I'm thinking in a dashboard, is there a way to not so much hide, but I guess, the word is hide, so if someone says, why, what about the year filter? I want to look at this year. If you didn't include it, is it a practice to, all I can think of is hide and unhide, but, to show something, to show that, yes, you thought about it, but you didn't present it because, it may not have been relevant to everyone in the room type of situation. I don't know that much about Tableau to know if you can do something like that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I am not aware, but yeah, absolutely something to ponder. I'm sure somewhere in the workbook function, we used to, in the Marine Corps, we used to call them reserve slides. And so it was, that, like, let's give the commander only the information which he or she needs to process this decision. But then what kind of questions do they typically ask? And so those were the, when you get to the conclusion, you get to the questions slide that everyone puts on there. And then they say, well, what about this? And you say, aha, let me click 2 more slides. And here we have that answer ready for you, sir.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely. There's part of it is anticipation. Some of that also, though, it's about courage. It's about the courage to say either we don't know, but we can definitely get that piece of information, or, that's not a question that we anticipated. Let me get back to you on that. And if you can dovetail off of that with I feel like that will take us, let me get back to you on that. Is end of business okay? It may take us some time to research that. Usually people, unless they're just straight up jerks, they're usually okay with if you just say, nope, don't have that for you right now. But it will take us a day to crank that up, and we'll have that piece of information.
Mm.
I think
But
also depends how you're displaying your work in Tableau. If I remember correctly, you can hide tabs. Just like you can hide tabs in Excel, you can hide tabs in Tableau.
Okay.
So you could hide that tab if that's how you were displaying it, but that doesn't really help you on the dashboard part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here, Brian is asking, so the purpose of the interactivity is to help the user follow your story. Absolutely. It is not to give the stakeholder toys to play with, but limiting them from getting distracted is to limit the granularity. Absolutely. What are your thoughts on that? I know I have, ties back to things that we've kind of already talked about, but what do y'all think?
I think I saw someone mention in one of the chats is it ideally you've had conversations with a stakeholder to know what they're looking for, to make sure that you're not having disconnects on what they are expecting versus what you're delivering. Kind of along the comment of the dashboards we build for business really aren't exciting. I recently did an Excel dashboard for just a small client that I stumbled upon, and the dashboard's very boring, but I gave them exactly what they wanted. They wanted all of the graphs and then all of the pie charts to show all of their metrics.
Of course they wanted pie charts.
And I looked at it and I thought, oh, wow, this I wouldn't do this, but this is what they wanted, and that was a very clear requirement from the get-go. So there was the communication ahead of time. I guess during our conversation, I was thinking, well, the conversation you have with the stakeholder before you do the work hopefully can alleviate any of the gotchas you have when you do the presentation.
Yeah. Jessica, what about you?
I agree. Starting at the beginning and having the discussion about specifications on what they want to see and how they want to see it, instead of saying, well, what do you want to show me? Well, what do you have to, like that, to kind of a conversation that doesn't go anywhere, just
that little
goes
fencing match.
Yeah. Just asking up front and always asking for feedback too.
Absolutely. And the longer a project goes on, the greater the need for an in-progress review. And I have definitely worked for people that really got angry about that and felt like it was a waste of time when I suggested, they'd given me a task a month ago, and I knew that they were kind of changeable folk. And I said, 2 weeks in, I said, hey, can we get 15 minutes that I can just update you on my progress? Well, just tell me when you're done. Okay. All right. And then when I was done, then it was like, oh, well, that's not what I wanted. No, it is what you wanted a month ago. But anyway, but I think that's, you've got to have a feel for how long can you go before you need kind of a course correction. It's like, hey, can you just give me a nod and a wink, like you're on the right track, and keep going? Or, ooh, yeah, like we're off course, or the needs have changed and I need you to, to shift left a little bit.
Right. You seemed like or don't want to waste my time building something that isn't used or utilized or no one wants or is wrong. And I would hope that my stakeholders don't want me to waste my time building something that they're not going to use. So it's definitely a relationship there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I also think too, I think sometimes if someone sees a dashboard and they're new to them and they realize how powerful they become, then the wants become bigger, or not bigger, but that customer I was just talking about, they started asking me, well, can you do this? Can you do this? Well, yeah, but
generally the answer is if you give me enough time and money, I can do anything.
Yes.
We need this really complex thing tomorrow. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so getting off on a bit of a tangent, but my least favorite thing I think is no, I'm continuing with it. Don't stress at all. So you're kidding me? Tangents are my favorite thing in the world. Okay, now I lost my train of thought, joking around. Yeah, well, how long, here is my expectation, here's what I need, how long will that take? And you say a week, and they say, well, what can you get done in 2 days? And I'm like, not what you asked for. Like, what do you, I mean, it's not a binary outcome, but it's pretty close. Like when I tell you I need a week, it's a week. So yeah, we have classes that we have to teach, and it's like, well, this class is 4 hours, and they're like, can you teach it in 2 hours? It's like, what did I just say? It's 4 hours. No. So anyway, yeah, but that's always fun. Can you fit that product in this misshapen box that I've presented to you? No, I can't. I can deliver you something completely different, but anyway, yeah, this is why we're, you got to be results based, not not time based. So, all right. Kelly asks, how often do you give them progress on a project? What is appropriate? Interesting. Yeah. I think it's just, it's a feel thing. I think once you've done a few projects, you can kind of, your spidey sense starts going off when you've made a certain number of assumptions and your assumptions start kind of piling up on each other. And, if you get any sense that the mission has crept at all and whatever the boss told you originally, maybe situations have changed and you need a redirect, or if you start making assumptions, you make one assumption and it's good and it's a 95% assumption, you're fine. You make another assumption based on the first one and now it's a 90% assumption, and now you're kind of multiplying that 90%, 95%, and you're getting down to like, I'm about 80% sure I'm still on target. And then the next one takes you down to about 60% sure. Then it's time to go see the boss. Regardless of time, you have to go in and say, all right, here's the brief. I've made these 3 assumptions. I feel like this has introduced enough doubt into the outcome where I just want to make sure we're still on the same page. That's my math nerd approach to it.
So I'm reading your shirt that says Alteryx for Good.
Yeah.
And I've also used Alteryx in the past. Amazing. Cool. I love it. And in my work, I used Alteryx upstream of Tableau. Is that how you're doing it as well? Or
absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, not doing that on this challenge, but yeah, for sure. So Alteryx does have reporting tools within it. They're not designed for the same thing as Tableau or Power BI or Viz specialization platforms. Matter of fact, Alteryx has a very friendly working relationship with Tableau. We advertise them, we connect to them very well. They are complementary functions. So Tableau does a little bit, with Tableau Prep Builder, they do a little bit of the graphic user interface and workflow type stuff that Alteryx does. Alteryx has reporting tools and we can make visualizations within the platform, but it's kind of a very small overlap. But yeah, they're amazing complementary tools. We advertise something we call the Salt Stack, which starts with Snowflake database feeding into an Alteryx workflow. and then finishing with an amazing Tableau visualization. And each of those platforms is really, really good at those things, and then kind of okay at some of the overlapping stuff. So yeah. But yeah, this was from my new hire connect. We did a little charity project. Every cohort that comes on at Alteryx does one, and you get these charity shirts. Kelly's got another question for us. What are our go-to graphics to display data? Obviously not the pie chart. Tableau has a ton. All right, so we talked about we don't like the tree map. I've said I'm not big on the bubble chart. Everybody hates pie charts. Yay. Okay, what do you like? And what do you feel is underrated? What viz gets a bad rap unnecessarily?
Pie chart?
Oh.
I think they have a place.
Yeah, you're right.
But they're also, there's a lot of issues with them. I won't disagree with that. I really can't. I love scatter plots.
Okay.
Yeah, my answer is it depends. Right? It depends on what the data is that you're looking at. If it's categorical data or time course data, or what, it depends on those things. And then you decide how you want to present it. And the answer to my second question is I love box and whiskers plots.
Mm-hmm.
Those are good.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're my favorite. But they have a place, right? They have a place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think when I was going through my whole color divergent issue today, and I was trying to figure out where it should transition, I actually did a box and whisker for each set of data to figure out, what the median was, what the upper and the lower whisker, and it was helpful in helping me make that decision. But I also think box and whiskers charts those kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Reach the envelope of what the average non-data person understands.
Yeah. Box and whisker can be a little challenging for non-data people if you're not familiar with, what actually is an outlier. What's the interquartile range? What's mean, median, mode?
Mm-hmm.
Those can be a little challenging. I mean, some people will kind of feel like, I need a math refresher to delve into this thing. Yeah, me personally, I love anything with a map that has I definitely felt what you were saying with the map saturation. I don't necessarily like a map of a place where every single, it's just loaded with color, and every state or county or whatever is just a color denoting something. I really like ones where it's got maybe like a bar for each area that shows a quantity or some metric. Those kind of fill my heart with glee. And the one that I think is underrated, and I know it can be difficult, much like a pie chart, it can be difficult to compare individual categories to each other, but I love stacked bar charts. I think they're just super informative, and the trade-offs with being able to compare individual segments to each other are kind of more than offset by the, you kind of get this explosion of color, and you can see overall quantities or overall KPIs and the segments as well. That's what, if I'm going for something, if I have to do kind of an overall quantity and then segment it by something, I'm probably going for a stacked bar chart every time.
Could it be? I was just gonna make a comment. Could it be similar to a pie, where if there's too many segments, it just doesn't work?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. Yeah, I was actually looking at this one. So I don't remember if I shared this one, but yeah, so this one that I did, it was one of the Alex the Analyst ones. And this was just taking his video game sales, and this was just him messing around. He wasn't like, hey, this is gospel, like you should totally do this. But yeah, this one here is just mind blowing. And this isn't even all the stuff. Like this is only like PlayStation. So this is actually a bit more granular than if you put all the platforms. It's it's even more of a mess. But still, like, super cool to look at, and you can kind of, you can click through it to your heart's content and go, okay, well, how was role-playing games? Like, how did they trend? So yeah, I'm a big fan.
And the
Area charts
colors
are cool to
sometimes,
look at.
yeah, I was just
Go
saying
ahead.
here, the colors sometimes are so similar that it's hard
Mhm.
sometimes for me to figure out like
Yeah,
where they are. Yeah.
there's a lot of segments here. I mean,
Yep.
this is probably too many colors to have this be. I would never present something like this to a decision maker and say, let me brief
You
this to
figure it
you.
out.
No, yeah, no. I mean,
Yeah.
this is eye candy. But yeah, area charts too. I love them. The one that I think gets too much love, that doesn't, to me, most of the time, it's just kind of uninformative. Pareto charts. I kind of look at it and I go, what am I supposed to get from this? Like, as you add more segments, it goes up. Yeah, well, no kidding. It's not going to go down. So yeah, just people tend to kind of toss those out there like, ooh, look, numbers and lines, and like, no.
So that viz that you just had up that had a
Hmm?
lot of different categories, I find that I struggle with data that has a lot of categories.
Yeah.
And how do you overcome that regardless of the type of visualization you're using?
I would personally, it's you've got to figure out, like, what conclusion are you looking to draw from it. So it's got to go from, we kind of do some of this stuff backwards. It's like, I get a data set and it's like, well, what can I do with this? Well,
Yes.
what's the point?
Yes.
When you do your data analysis, and visualizations can help the analyst figure it out, but presumably you've probably done it in something else. Like, what insights you've found, and now you're trying to lead a decision maker to a data-driven decision. So the question is, well, what do you need to show them to get them to understand, and hopefully to make the wise decision that you've already figured out for them. So yeah, it's filtering out, it's taking things out. Yeah, there's a ton of categories there that are kind of puzzle games for the most part. They're not big sellers. So you could definitely take out some of the sort of low volume categories there, and you wouldn't lose any informative power, but you would definitely clarify the picture for someone making a decision.
Okay.
So I mean, and a lot of that is, it's kind of a data science principle. When you have way too many independent variables, and you find some of them that don't really have a ton of predictive power, then you can actually improve your model, your predictability, by taking those variables out, because they just kind of muddy the waters. It's the same thing visually. So Kelly agrees. Too many categories is difficult. Okay, so we have reached the 9 o'clock hour. I still have to go out and lift or do something physical before it's time for bed. So we promised an hour. We delivered an hour. We've still got a robust audience of 12 on LinkedIn. So
Nice.
pretty good for an ad hoc, like,
Nice.
half hour, not even, like 20 minutes notice on a Friday night. Getting some people to sit on LinkedIn and YouTube and talk about data visualization. So
Great. Thank you for
Kathleen,
putting this together.
Jessica, yeah, thanks for coming on with me. It would have been awfully lonely if I was just sitting here kind of muttering to myself about pie charts and why I hate them.
You said, let's go. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Let's just do
Yeah,
it.
that's the best way to do it. Yeah, no planning, just throw it together. So yeah, the only planning I did was I made a little thumbnail in Canva, and that was it. Hey, Betty Barrera is here. What's up, Betty?
It looks like my shirt. I don't know. I think some
Yeah,
kind of serendipitous thing going on.
yeah, on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay. Kelly says,
Okay.
thanks. Thanks, Kelly, for coming. Thanks for all the input. Everybody, thanks for the engagement. I hope that you're enjoying the challenge. I hope that you're continue learning, and yeah, stick with us. We'll make you a Tableau hero.
All right.
Good
Thanks.
night.
All right.
Take care.
See you, everybody.
Bye.